Law firm growth comes down to three parts. One is generating more clients. The second part is all the different tools and ways that you're able to free yourself up by automating your law firm. And the third, super important, is delegating and hiring. Every law firm growth comes down to probably one of these three.
Hi guys, I have a law firm and I represent employees, and I'm a sole practitioner in my own right, and then I have two profit centers. One is the cases where I represent people, and one is where the refer out business, where we sort of take cases that don't make sense for us and we refer them out. And I always am bogged down with the idea of, would I be better off having associates underneath me and growing my firm as much as possible? Or do I sort of maintain this balance of having my firm and where it makes sense associating in joint ventures with other firms on specific cases? And I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on that. And then just a follow-up question. You guys both do a lot of different stuff. How do you prioritize the most scalable, strategic changes? How do you focus on the things that make the biggest impact?
Okay. Well, let me start with saying that when you're starting doing the referrals, a lot of it has to do with your referral arrangement. There's referrals that are extremely profitable and there's referrals that are not so much. So if you're having a referral after doing 40% referral fees, you can't lose money. But if you're doing it at 15, 20%, it's very questionable. That's the first effect, to making sure you at least minimum 1/3 referral. And then your target is really 40. That's the first element. The second is what's the volume of that business and how much you can expand on it. Let's say completely, to answer your second question first, to be able to do multiple ventures, multiple departments, multiple things, you have to dedicate yourself, focus on one thing and not mix things up. So imagine for 1 minute that you're only a referral firm. You don't do this anymore. You don't do your own litigation. I'm a referral firm. I'm going to grow it. How many cases can I get in that I can refer out? What is my profit margins, which is your referral fees you're going to get? What's your cost of client acquisition? And basically, what's my ROI? What is my net margin? So you manage that separately. If it makes sense, you just expand it like crazy. A lot more ads, a lot more referrals, a lot more control. Then you turn to this other side, wanting to do the litigation, doing it in-house and so forth. If you understand your net profits from this operation, and say, when I do it myself, I make 27% net profit. When I refer it out, I get 33%. You know what the heck, let's just give everybody out. So it all has to do with profit margin, not what I sort of feel like, want to do, could do, is not. Everything is about you're running a practice based on profitability, not about emotions or what everybody else does. Very simple P&L decision.
For me to answer your question is, if you were to hire this associate, what would they be doing, Benji? And I want you to actually answer this. If you can get the mic back here, there we go.
So I probably, like most people in this room, believe that 99% of work that attorneys do can be done by a Philippines virtual assistant. And which is a crazy, psychotic thing to say. And if anybody heard that outside of this room, they would think we're lunatics, but it's true. So I know that if I brought an attorney, I would still not want them to be doing stupid tasks. I would want them to do the things that they have to do, like depositions and client discussions and court appearances, stuff like that.
So then the second question, follow-up question is, all those things you just mentioned, do you like doing those things yourself? Do you flow when you're doing those things?
That's not where I want to be spending my time.
So the answer is your own question. It's like whenever you're sitting on something that you don't want to do, you just don't thrive, it's a clear sign that it's not a sustainable thing for you to do it in any business, in any capacity. It doesn't matter what business you're in, doesn't matter how rich you are, it's just a dead end. Yeah. So yeah, that is a complete trigger for you to have at least one, I would say. At least one is the mindset. How many would be the actual question. And then regarding to prioritization, I think in the beginning, we just we do it because we get drawn to challenges. I think me and Hami talk about this all the time. We love challenges that we put ourselves to. It's the first part. And the second part that pulls us in is the people that we do it with, right? That's a big crucial part of this whole thing too. But over some time, after we were a couple of years in, then we could be a little bit more, we could prioritize a little bit more and be a little bit more selective. And that's something that both me and Hamid right now are going through. We've done it all. We've done 120 referrals. We have 600 members inside of our community. We have a lot of other stuff going on, but now we're prioritizing all those things. We're going to consolidate is the word of the year for us. we're going to consolidate, and instead of trying to do it for more people, we're going to have less partners, less clients, less things, but try to do more with them, more with less is the mindset versus trying to do more. And it's something that, again, both of us are going through this. I think both of us are about to go hire the same coach to work with us together to go through this transformation for us.
Jason Plotkin, personal injury. Love my legal soft case managers.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. It's very hard to see, by the way.
So I'm at the age where I'm planning for exit strategies in 10 years, looking out. I understand there's a national trend for venture capitalists to acquire law firms, personal injury law firms. I focus on profit margin. That's the main metric I run my firm through. But what metrics, KPIs, are VCs going to look for that I should start planning for to put an emphasis over the next 10 years so I can look?
I guess the sustainability of what you're doing. They're always looking for track record, and they're always looking for growth and growth potential. So your market size, what is the market size, and where you started and where you are, and how much growth you have year after year is what they look for. And because they are basically bidding on the future, not what is current or what you've done in the past. So you always have to be able to present, if I had all the resources in the world, that's by the way, when you go to any of these VCs, that's the first thing they ask you, because I used to work for a VC company for a year or two. What they say is like, hey guy, if you had all the resources in the world, what would you do? And if you say, look, I would have 10x my firm, because I would do the followings, then they wanting to put the money in so they can share that growth with you.
Follow-up question. So the growth, are you talking about gross revenue or net revenue?
It depends. If it's a, it depends what market you're in and what kind of a practice you're in. If it's a transactional law, it's really a top number. But if it is not a transaction, it's a litigation, then it's a bottom number. So it depends on the practice type and the market you're at.
And what's the multiple that is typical for a law firm? Multiple, just want to clarify what the multiple is.
I actually done some mergers and acquisitions through the legal industry, basically merging the smaller retiring law firms into a newer live law firm. So we basically create a plan to retire the attorney without retiring them. So we actually acquiring the firm either a lump sum or continuous payment to the firm. Is usually the ratio is about 3x on average of last 2 years of the net attorney's fees.
That's crucial. So that's your true value of your firm if you were to get acquired is that number that Hami the equation that Hami shared with you.
Your target is 3x, they start with 1x. But you want to get 3x of average of 2 years net attorney's fees. No, because whoever acquires it and is going to rebuild it, because that's what their value they think they're bringing in. They can set up automations, they can reduce the cost, they can reduce your cost of client acquisition. They're basically coming in and investing in optimization of what you already have built to take it to the next level.
There's some questions, by the way, I'm just going to leave Hami to answer because then I don't have to keep going back and forth, but yeah.
Hello. Okay, your conversation yesterday was very interesting, but there was one part that kept in my mind about artificial intelligence taking over some practices. And you mentioned immigration among those, and that's what I practice. So what I wanted to ask you is, what's your vision on that? How long do I have until my law firm is dead?
Very good question.
Yeah, and what should I do in the meantime? What should I do in the future? Just move to real estate? I mean, what's your take on what's going to happen in the industry in the future?
The AI for the immigration is going to start next year. So there's companies already working on using AI to do complete immigration, except like removals and deportations and so forth. Those still stays out there because the AI is not going to get into it. But anything transactional between family immigration and business immigrations, E2s and E1s and all the way to EB5s is going to be taken over. It's going to take about 3 years to complete, my estimate. Don't quote me. It takes
You
about
used to say 5, and I'm like, Hami, you have no idea
because
how
I
fast it's
see
going to
it.
come.
It's like I expect
you
them to
said
do it
3.
in a year.
In 6
now they're
months,
doing
we'll
the
say
same
6
thing in 3 months. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the time window keeps getting shorter because all the AI development is coming off the ground because they used to be doing it in caves and so forth. And now that it got exposed, everybody who's doing anything with AI, first of all, they're just coming right out. The second thing is all the big boys taking all the money and investing it into AI, so that's expediting the process. So if it was 5 years, it's now 3, maybe if you're asking 6 months from now, I say 1 year, is a life expectancy. But you look about 3 years, you have to have an exit. So you either adopt AI and be in the game, and after 3 years, you basically have no staff and you're just sort of doing the business model and the client generations and so forth, and using this machine to to basically process it.
And for me, the way that I see it is it's not a complete wipeout. It's a consolidation. Over time, just businesses consolidate. That means the cream of the crop come out, the true winners, and the rest kind of simmer down and just like get forgotten. So I think that's the reason why we're here, to understand these things and still be ahead, still be in the top 5% and ride the way with it. You could definitely still be in the top 5% of your market in the next 5 years using these things. But if you leave yourself out, you'll be in the bottom 95%, and that is very risky. But I think every single one of us, let me just give you guys confidence. You guys are way, way, way ahead of the entire rest of the market.
Right.
Again, don't forget, I shared this number with, we have a little core group, is our ads have been seen by millions of people, and 4,000 or 5,000 people have applied, and from that 600 people have joined, and from that there's you guys. You guys are in the top 0.001%. You guys are way ahead. I mean, we know this thing, so don't worry. For the most part, little by little apply these tools, and your market still requires that personal touch, talking to the people, things like that. Again, a lot of the work can be cleaned up, but there's still going to be a need for every single one of us. So don't worry nearly as much.
Absolutely. And what you said, what to do to be prepared, build a complete business model that is all client acquisition model. Because the work going to get done with the AI.
Yep.
But the cases will not generate through AI, at least not now.
Not yet.
So you strengthen your firm from doing an immigration law operation to immigration law client generation.
That was good.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I do divorce law
Word.
and other things.
There we go.
So I've been learning so much in the last less than 90 days, and there's a lot of things are going to be beyond my expertise. Getting side funnel automation, even though I have File Line, I got implementers already, and I got implementers for the funnel. I have everything, but these kind of things that you're talking about now, like your numbers and all that stuff, all this, I haven't taken in new clients because I've been days. I don't have the capacity to do everything, to be a lawyer on solar ranch. That being said, I want to get someone like a deed or someone like that, to just take me to that level. Hire the technology people, hire the, do this for me, take this off my plate so I can start generating my own clients and bringing them training and then hiring as needed. But I don't know where to really begin. Should I hire the CEO first? And if I do, if that's like a MBA, someone with an MBA, or overseas, because I can't afford like a real life, a US guy or girl. So what would you suggest? I can't, and then the other thing is get a mentor. I feel like I'm always taking advice, and I don't want to feel like that, anymore. I want to do what I need to do. I need somebody on my side. I need loyalty, pay them. So where do I really go to start? Like, I'm your daughter. What would you tell me?
Okay, well, the first question I have from you said you stopped taking clients in 3 months. Why?
I don't have the time capacity.
Okay, but you got to figure out what you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing. Now, because it's almost like, let me give you an example of the restaurant who wants to have a new menu. Says, okay, I'm going to close the door for 3 months so no client can come in, so I can go in the kitchen and create a new menu. That's detrimental to that business. Nobody's going to come back for the old menu or a new menu. Okay, so you can never close doors. You can never say, I don't have time, because it basically means I didn't have a plan or I didn't execute the plan.
I'm sorry, I didn't close my doors. The clients that are trickling in are just referrals, but I'm not advertising, I'm not.
Right, you're not
bringing
growing.
not
You're
trying
not
to grow
expanding,
that.
sure.
Right.
But I'm just saying, in general, you have to decide if you're going to be attorney or a business owner. You can't, nowadays with everything going on, you can't be both. So if you're not a business owner, you don't know about this online presence, the technologies, the AIs, everything that's getting thrown at you, you got to find expert. You don't need to go hire a full-time MBA CEO. They probably cannot figure all this either. You got to figure out the specific service and prioritize it and hire experts for each area based on the KPI, so they don't just hang around and say, I'm working on it, and give you what you need while you're running your business and expanding it. Your entire focus all the time is to expand the business. So never stopping ad campaigns that is really paying off and working, never stopping a marketing campaign that is working, to go figure things out. Because if it's working, let it work. And then you spend your time hiring experts to help you.
And my advice is, and advice that I got from Hamid, is you got to get clear, as you shared, what you're currently doing, so you can evaluate what that is. And once you do that, you're like, whoa, I'm working on things that I'm not doing. And these 3 departments is basically what it comes down to. You need more clients, you need to set up some tools and things to be able to automate, and you need to hire all at the same time. This is crucial for every business. So look at these as 3 different divisions, 3 different people that can help you with this. And you, as yourself, you're the planner, visionary, and somebody who's able to say, this is what I need to be done, and then this is what the end result should look like based on numbers. And you step back and you're kind of like letting it be done.
Right. And the same thing that I said about the immigration applies to the family law, because family law, if you have uncontested divorce filings, AI is going to do all of that. There's no lawyering to be done. Or if you're doing separation agreements or things like that, you're only going to be dealing with the cases where there is a lot of child custody, a lot of assets to be divided. All of that stuff is going to be your focus. Everything below that is going to be AI.
I mean, a lot of people have questions about what order do I hire? Top down, bottom up. Top down basically means you hire like directors, managers, and then going down, or do you hire the day-to-day operators and go up?
Look, if they're hiring somebody on the top, they need to have the capability of managing that person, because it's not like there is a marketing director who worked in the family law practice before that you're going to hire. So it's very much of a challenge. So you got to hire first the doers who are going to do specific things based on the recipe that they're going to deliver. And once you have that operation, then you look at the top down, because that top person is expensive to begin with. It needs to be managed and guided and directed. If you don't have the marketing or business background, you can't. So you're at their mercy of doing the right thing. And half of the time really doesn't work out, and they say, oh, I'm spending $150,000 a year on this person. 6 months, I haven't seen anything. So you have to be aware of the market and what works and what doesn't, and hire the people who can do that specific task.
And something else, I'll just things are coming to me, and I have to just add it, is a lot of people, see the things that need to be done, and they just see as one picture, and they get overwhelmed by it. But that's where we want to end up at, okay? So you have to build the momentum with the easy stuff. As you said, hire the easy VA, delegate a little bit, pick up that momentum. When you start doing that, all of a sudden you're like, oh, before I know it, I'm like hiring the managing director and doing all that stuff. So build the momentum by simplifying the easy first process, and then the rest will kind of play itself out.
Right.
And the other thing I was going to add, that I was like thinking about it, is it takes time. It takes time. A lot of people, I think, underestimate or overestimate or underestimate how long it takes to do these things. I've seen in my experience, it takes 6 to 12 months. Depends on, some people work a little bit faster or quicker implementers, but expect like 12 months is a good place to think about growth, real growth to happen. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in weeks. It doesn't take months. It's not, it takes some time. So relax. As long as you're kind of building momentum, doing little by little, it will add up to that growth.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. We were providing a lot of marketing services, like website maintenance, social media management, monthly newsletter, SMS marketing, variety of different things. It was like 14 items for the law firms to take advantage of. And it got confusing and overwhelming with them. So we created this practice growth solution, which takes basically 7 of these services on the fixed cost. LegalSoft does it for them. So they don't have to hire that director of marketing and trying to figure out how the newsletter stuff works or what the SMS marketing works. So you got to find those kind of solutions. There's a bunch of them around, but you just got to find those solution providers and pass it on and control the cost of it.
Oh, sorry. William McMahon. So real quick, I have I'm jealous of Sam and his to-do list that he meets with you on Thursday about. But I'll limit it to 3. I've been last 24 hours. I have a big long list for you, Hamid. But so for a lot of us, are small firms with our name on the door type of perspective, and a lot of this question comes up a lot on Fridays. To how to stop, how to build a system where the clients aren't asking for the attorney, the named attorney, to talk with. Okay, how to move that away. So from your background, at HP, at Compact, or these types of companies, the customers are going there for the brand, and the brand is just the service or the product that is being provided. On a small firm, a lot of it's the face, it's the attorney's face. They want to talk to the partner, they want to talk to the attorney as opposed to the paralegal, the VA, whatnot. What's some techniques or what's some advice to try to move the system or away from that so we can start to step back and move to that higher level thing?
Sure.
And then 2 really short on my to-do list questions. For referrals, when you guys have ramped up all those referrals, what's the nuts and bolts of it? Do you guys sign the cases and then refer it, and then the contract floats to to the referring firms, or is it more like leads? You're passing the leads to them, and then the third one, just real small. You talked about
Hold on, let's take it one step at a time. We'll
Okay.
get there.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So let me answer the second one. Is shorter because it's a referral system. It works both ways. You're either passing on the leads to the other firm to sign up, but you got to make sure they're equipped by like a bilingual 24/7 in-house or VA system to answer them and convert them, and you have to monitor their conversion so they're not messing up conversion to cases based on your dime that you just spent. So that's one method. The second method that's happened is that the law firm itself actually retains them, uses the other law firm retainer, and they have authorized to do that, and then they're pre-retained. So they have, basically they don't have faith in this other firm to be able to have an infrastructure and people in place to convert the leads that I just spent $100,000 generating. So that's the answer to that. The first question you had about the competency of not requiring an attorney to talk to everybody is how well you have trained your frontline people. Okay, because if they get their answer, they don't need to talk. If there's the only thing they doubt that this person they're talking to hasn't, she or he knows what they're talking about, then they want to escalate it. So you have an escalation system saying that the front line is this. If he doesn't understand it, talk to the case manager, make sure your case manager is up to date so they don't guessing things. And they say, look, I can schedule a conversation with the attorney in 5 days, or I can answer your call now. And that's how you eliminate the need to say, I need to talk to the attorney. Because if you do that, you can't make any money doing that, essentially.
and there's real quick, what's net attorney's fees? How is that valued? Gary wants to know.
I asked your average valuation metric on an M&A when that trend becomes more allowable and viable for our. How does your 2-year average net compare to like a 2-year multiple of EBITDA that we use in corporate transactions? I guess the question is, how do you define net?
Sure, EBITDA is meaningless because I can control the EBITDA to whatever I want it to be. I can make it very profitable. I can make it lose money because, if you talk to Mr. Trump, he'll tell you everything loses money because I don't want to pay taxes. So you can do that. But on the net attorney's fees, you can't really play with because it goes through escrow account, it goes to the operating account. It's very visible where it's coming from what client, what type of client, You can't play with that. So that's what they go by, the net attorney's fees, because they know it's pure. And also gives me a leverage when I have the net attorney fee numbers. It gives me opportunity to change the margins and the cost of operations to have a rice EBITDA, because now I'm an investor. I'm not an attorney, I'm not anything like that. So controls the margin, the gross margins and the profit margin.
So, sorry, I may be. Net, we receive, and then we take out of that.
No, the net attorney's fees is your gross line. So you have a settlement of $30,000. You have a 1/3 stake in that. So you're taking $10,000 from the $30,000 settlement. That's the number I'm interested in. That $10,000 out of the 30.
Let's just get the tracking, and your entire law firm comes down to that number and how much it costs you.
Yeah.
That's it. Once you know those two numbers, growing is so easy.
And we have a follow-up over here on that.
Hey guys, it's Ryan. Quick question for you. For the 3x multiple that you used, how would that apply to, for example, contingency fee firms where, for example, there's an ebb and a flow, and a lot of these clients are actually one-off clients, right? I'm kind of curious to know with a business firm where they have recurring clients, you have these clients, you have the steady stream of income. One year you might be killing it, the next year not so much. So how does that factor into the 3x?
Yeah, well, that's what they time it to market, right? So it also stands out when you're doing 2 to 3 years of averaging. When they do the due diligence, they also know that your average fee per client was $75,000 for the past 3 years, but you have a huge bump because you had the 8-figure all of a sudden. So they amortize that through the years. They won't say, okay, now you went from 75 to 1.8 million. So they do a standard, but it usually just averages out in 3 years because you're supposed to have certain big wins like that within the 3 years somehow, if you're in a contingency. If you don't have it, you have other problems.
Another way to look at it is if you guys into stocks, so it's like your 2-year moving average, what direction is it heading? Is it slanting up? Then it's a good sign.
Hi. So I've been funnel hacking you for like a year now, and I can't figure it out. So I figured I'd put you on the spot.
Please, it's the time to do it.
I can't figure it out. The Facebook ads hitting on PI clients. I can build pipelines, grassroots all day. I help.
Well, that's more of your category. So He's the one who hits the Facebook for the clients. So
There is a certain understanding that you get on a deeper level once you start getting it to convert. And we've been able to pass off this inside of our PI track to our students. It wasn't just me trying to do this for myself. I did do it for myself, and it was a challenge that I put on myself. It was about a year ago. I had done a bunch of different practice types, and I'm like, let's finally go back to, I actually started off with doing PI, one of the toughest ones. And I said, if I can also get other people to do this in the toughest market, then essentially any practice type I could essentially do. And so about 10 people, I believe at least 10 people, joined us. And we both, us and 10 others joined on this journey. And Moises, how many are you at? 157 PI cases in California, one of the toughest markets. It is translatable. It's not just a one-off. It's not like one thing I tell you, it's it. It's a constant kind of progress and things that we went through, right? It took a couple of months and some coaching because things happen. Things might get suspended and things like that. But if you have the know-hows, you have the experience, and you have someone to guide you through this process and the resilience to keep you throughout this process, it does work. And then the intangible is the conversion, which is another secret sauce and art and science to it, which is a constant moving target and a constant learning, constant new things that I'm learning about conversions. Moises shares his amazing text that works, and then William talks about how he's tracking it and this, and we all, when we mastermind around that, little by little, we're helping each other convert better. And certain markets are better, things like that. Somebody says, we could also do this, amazing, somebody tries that. So it's that kind of masterminding really helps with that process. But it does work, translatable, we proved it, and yeah, actually relate to something we'll be offering later today.
one thing to add to that is that when you're running a campaign and it's producing cases that is below market value in this state. So like in California, the PI cost of case acquisition is about $2,500 to $3,000 right now, which is very high. So if you're running a campaign and you're getting them for $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, sell everything you got and buy everything there is, because it's not going to stay the same. So you can't take your time and say, well, this is pretty good, I'm going to know. It's going to die. It's going to go up to 3,000, and you're going to try to figure out what the heck happened. Because it does that historically every few months. So if it goes up to 3,000, stop and find other ways. If it goes below 2,000, literally get all the money you can and buy everything there is.
You guys hear that? Our PR track members? Yeah, and then at this point it's easy. Once we start getting and converting, what do we do every single month, Moises? It's just numbers and tracking, right? There's nothing to it. You just share your numbers. Great, you're doing great. Spend more. So it becomes easy at that point. And then the other part is things do change, as you mentioned. Things change. And luckily for me, I'm in a very interesting environment of friends with media buyers, other marketers. I get data. I'm doing a lot of my own stuff. So as I see things, I do it right away inside one of my ad accounts. I see something here that I apply to this, and then next time you have a PI track, hey, but guys, don't forget to also do this. Things change, so you need to just like one-off do it. I promise whatever I'm doing now won't work in 6 months or won't work as nearly as well as now. But as long as you stay on top of it and mastermind around it and are open to sharing those things, then you'll continue growing. And then the other part I'll add to this is once you learn this process of learning how to fish, that's by far the most valuable thing, because you could, Moises and all our PI track members could go take this, apply the same idea to YouTube ads and any other platform or a new one that might come in the future. So that's, I think, the true ultimate value. Like, that's great and all. You got 157, but I'm pretty sure I think he's set for the rest of his life because he figured out the formula.
Great.
I'm currently using Clio Grow and also manual spreadsheets for tracking conversion rate per lead source, costs per lead source, and all that information. And I've been trying to investigate different CRMs to see if any of them are a little bit more robust and can provide this data, because it's taking forever for my VAs to manually pull everything from Grow and then, get it all together.
Really no, because I'm partnered with Filevine, Clio, Lidify, and Casepeer. And I see all this stuff happening, and we have our own lead tracking, management, cost of client acquisition system too. Still, we go back to a lot of the Google Sheets and tracking because it's real time and it's sort of more customizable. If I go with Clio Grow or even on the Filevine, you have the lead docket, does the same thing. We haven't been able to figure it out to be the level that we wanted. It sort of like makes you feel good kind of a data, but it's not something that I'm willing to invest a lot of money on.
I'll add to this too. Is the right CRM is the CRM that you implement. Okay, so don't overthink too much, which is right for me. They're all more or less the same, more or less. The only difference is there's some that are easier than others, and depends on what type of firm you are and what your capability is. If you can really handle it and you have a lot going on, then maybe HubSpot is the most capable. But it's also like HubSpot and follow-on, but those are really robust and takes a lot. Or there could be much easier solutions that are easier. So I would say let's start off with the easier. At least build that momentum, build that habit, and don't overthink it. Just have an implementer that could help you, start the momentum, and the rest will kind of play itself out.
In the same respect, I was also interested, are there any good softwares that you're aware of or solution Clio manage to pull out like SKUs for different practice areas so you can determine better profitability rather than kind of manually running it through like a SKU calculator?
No, I don't think anybody has that out there that is based on a different practice. They have tried, but every time I use one of those, it was just too far off.
It's a case evaluator, is what we're talking about?
Is a cost of the case and the
I know how to do that.
Estimated.
Can I go, like my theory is you have the facts of the case and you have the ultimate end number. So what if you could feed AI, you can even try it out like a minimum viable product of this ChatGPT, 20 of them, start off at 20. Takes as much detailed fact of a case that you have. You can have a VA do this. I do this all the time, pull out stuff and see what comes out of it. And then you also give the end number that it comes out, and then potentially any other context you want to give it. And then be like, based on this, now give me an estimated value for this particular fact case. And then it's going to give you a number. Now you're going to say, if I were to want to double this number, what should I do? And it's going to go pull out those different variables, factors, and says maybe you may need to visit the Cairo a couple more times.
I also am having points as far as our phone solutions, and I've been talking to a lot of other law firm owners, and it seems like this is common. I currently have CallRail, and it's been a problem dropping calls. Different solutions like SimulRing, they admitted doesn't work. We're losing leads because of it, because of the speed of getting back to people. I was about to jump to Steve, and I just also problematic and has some pain points. I've looked at Ring Central, I've looked at a bunch of solutions. A lot of them don't work in the Philippines or other areas. Is there anything that that can solve this or make it more fluid so we can call people back quicker and have less problems?
We have that system in the LegalSoft platform that is, because of those reasons, we had to use multiple technologies to implement what we call a smart call that is in our system. It's tied to the intake, and it does the calls coming in, the text going out, all that stuff. So if you look at and talk to one of the agents out there, they can hook you up with what we call a smart call, because we use all of that too. Unfortunately, there's not a perfect solution to it. I want to say one more thing about the last questions. GoHighLevel is probably one of the better systems right now for lead management and follow-up, because we're actually using it internally also.
Yeah.
It says GoHighLevel.
If you have that, we basically white labeled it and kind of created all the customizations, all the onboarding, all that stuff that's kind of legal funnel CRM. The phone service, I've been exposed to them all. None of they all have their issues at the end of the day, but the one that I've experienced the better is OpenPhone. OpenPhone, OpenPhones. All the people that recommend OpenPhone, I got onto it early. I got exposed to them early, like a year ago. I got on 2 of my law firms on it, and then we had our members get on it. It's been amazing. It works. They get it. They understand. I think they're just like updated first-year version of everything else. I think they understood what the problems were with everyone else. So it's just OpenPhone. Don't overthink it. You don't need to ask around. Just try that out. Yeah, no problem. Just do it.
So Todd Sternberg of Ben Lum himself, my first VA, right? The difficulty that I've always had is wearing too many hats, basically like the E-Myth story. I'm the owner, I'm the director, and I'm the agent within this. Mr. Cohen, what you said earlier has really resonated with me. Is your advice to just ditch it all, be the business owner instead of one of the attorneys? Because my concern has always been more of a cash flow issue while I'm trying to find my replacement associated with the type of work that I do as the attorney. Because the concern is that if I'm outsourcing that type of work to someone who is not a California licensed attorney, then they're not able to charge on an hourly rate basis that I or somebody else that I have to pay a pretty decent salary to.
Sure. One of the biggest tendency about a family law practice is the attorneys feel like they need to do everything. Right off the bat, not knowing the size of your firm or the number of cases you have way too many attorneys to begin with. They're doing 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour work at least half of their day. So that's the first thing I would look at and saying that unless you're doing heavy duty, high value worth clients, they're doing a lot of litigations and so forth, which I assume you have a balance of those. But majority of the work, which is client data collection, document collections, verifying things, filing things, all that stuff is a VA job. Attorneys should not touch that. You can't recover your investment from that. Doesn't matter how many billing hours you do. So right off the bat, for one single family attorney in the average market, they need to have like 3 VAs doing their work for one attorney. So if you don't have that ratio, you're leaving money on the table every day.
And we've experienced that. We've done that. Our VAs have VAs.
Yes. I have VA directors and vice presidents as VAs, that they have like 60 VAs in their group. And they have like 4 directors and they have 3 managers. And it's like a whole infrastructure of VAs that handle millions of dollars. And they're VAs.
Clarify yourself.
Yes.
Mundane tasks.
Exactly. You're creating pods. And the pods is that you become just a case generator. So you have like 4 attorneys. 4 attorneys have 3 people under them, and each one have an expected number of cases that they get assigned, and the amount of revenue they need to generate on the monthly, quarterly, annually basis that they're incentivized based on. So you create these pods, and now you are a business owner with essentially your franchising. You have 4 franchisees that all your job is to advertise, market, give them case, and get money on the other side. Don't get involved in any of it. It's all KPI metrics. I give you 100 cases, I give you 10 cases a month, and I expect this much revenue. Here's your 3 resources. Use them for everything that you shouldn't be touching as an attorney.
And Todd, you know this is working when your lawyers and in-house people stop working. Have you noticed that? We had these in-house people, and we had the VAs under them, and we'll delegate it to the directors, managers, and then right away, instantly, as soon as we give it to them, they'll delegate it. And over time, they're just sitting there, I'm like, well, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
So what comes out of that?
It's because when you're breaking down the responsibilities, even if you're giving them this 3 support system, you're saying, what is each one of these people going to do? And what's the expected outcome of it is? And what is you going to do as an attorney? So tell me, what have you done this week? 40 hours you worked. What was it? You must have been at least 10, 15 hours of it with the other counsel, or in deposition, or in court. But what like Sam said, after you give them these resources, they literally stop working because all this VA is doing all the work. And they're just sitting there watching it. So you got to be careful about that too.
Right, because
Right.
I'm a mom.
If you already establish your name and you have a name and face recognition, no. But you can always start off a second brand, ABC Family Center, and then now you market that. So it again goes back to expansion and being able to multiply your income from multiple sources when everything comes to the same factory. So now you want to launch this thing that is just, let's say you want to do a fixed cost divorce, just that, especially for uncontested divorce stuff. So you create this brand, you fix it on these services, you put 1 attorney on it, and now your job is go to generate 500 cases for this business. Charges $3,500 for every uncontested divorce, and now have a factory. Because he doesn't even need an attorney. You need the intake person to actually take all the information, get them signed, get them submitted. Done. Sure.
Of course. So this has been amazing. I know we could probably do this for a long time. These questions that people have, and everybody has these questions. Both of us have created infrastructure around us with our teams, with our services, things like that. So again, please definitely check out LegalSoft's booths outside to get more information. After the break, we'll also be talking about all these things we talked about. It's all going to come into a full picture. Thank you so much, Hamid. It's been fun.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks.